Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming Club. Without us, they never feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So again, we're based out of Westchester, Pennsylvania. If you live in Philadelphia, South Jersey, Northern Delaware, actually anywhere in Delaware, it's a small state, Northeast Maryland, up to Allentown, we have a guy from Bloomsburg, Lancaster, wherever, reach out to us. We're a fun-going group. We like to play games. To quote our friend Dave, is we want to play with our little toy soldiers, and we just want to have fun. Not saying we're not competitive, because we are, but at the same time, it's more important to have fun, not win the game. So today, I'm actually going to relinquish control over to Ryan here, aka Pretty Boy on the Ninth Age website, because it is his turn to do the battle report. Till then, here's Ryan.
Hey everyone, this is Pretty Boy. Don't ask me how I got that name. But this is a battle report from the Grail Thrones tournament that we were just at. If you've seen Mark's, he's done, I think, his first 2 games already. This will be my first game. And I'll do a little bit of intro right here. This was by far the best tournament that I've been to. Not to say that I'm a veteran tournament player, but it was really fun. If you ever have an opportunity to go, it's Atomic Games, Durham, North Carolina. They ran a really good tournament, and the guys down there are just a ball to play against. It also didn't hurt that the Raleigh Brewing Company was sponsoring the event, so we were all drinking beer on tap inside the store. So if you want to win, my heart over, that's a good way of doing it. Anyway, so the first game here, I got an email from WarScore the night before about the matchups, and I was like, oh, who's this Beast Herds player? And I was looking through, and he had a pretty solid tournament record. I'm like, oh, this guy is going to be pretty solid. And I showed Mark the name. I didn't recognize the name, and it's Once Bitten. So this will be a tough game. My objective to go into this is I'm excited to meet Once Bitten, but I don't want to get my ass kicked round 1 of a GT. So we'll see how this goes. I'm bringing my Dread Elves. There's a lot of chatter on the internet. It's one of those books that needs a little bit of love in some places, but a lot of people think you got to play them MSU or you got to do a Death Star list, and I brought, I guess, a little bit of a different type of list. I don't like Death Stars. I am willing to try MSU, but I don't know how that's going to be conducive to my play style.
It's not your style at all.
So I went with a more balanced list. I just will say for this tournament, it's called Grail Thrones, so it's Game of Thrones based. So a lot of scenarios are based off of Game of Thrones. The scenarios were really fun. I'll go through it real quick with each game. And then there was a monstrous exception rule where, there were different comps for it. I won't go through all the specifics, but essentially you could take a monster from a different army book if you wanted to and include it in your army. So there were some really interesting additions to people's lists. So without further ado, this is Once Bitten's army. I'll kind of read his list out to you in terms of deployment. This was just classic deployment. The first game is pretty straightforward. You got extra victory points if you killed your general, and the unit that killed the opponent's general got into your opponent's deployment zone. Also, if you killed your opponent's general or BSB with your general or BSB, you got extra victory points. That was basically it. So over here, we've got a unit of gargoyles. That flying critter is a proxy for a Razor Tusk. I kept calling them giant pigs all game. I forgot what they were called, but it's a Razor Tusk. Then we have a Gortak, another Razor Tusk. That Vortex Beast, which is the actual model, is not a Vortex Beast, but it's a fantastic model. I've always liked the way that looks. And Once Bitten did a great job painting it. That is actually a proxy for a Rock, and he has his Chieftain Battle Standard Bearer mounted on top of it. He's got totems, he has the Ether Icon, and he has the Crown of Scorn. So he's running totems, but he's running no other magic, and that's basically his magic defensive guy. Then in the middle, you can see there's a Minotaur, about to hit something with the chariot. He really loves that model. It's a great model. That's his general on a chariot, and I'll read to you what he's got on there. He's got a Sword of Strength, Bluffer's Helm, Talisman of Supreme Shielding, and that Razor Tusk gives everybody within 6 inches +1 to their charge range. So he's got a nasty character on there. He's pretty tough to kill. Next to that, we have another Gortak. Behind them is a unit of 10 Wild Horns. It's basically just an extra scoring unit. Alright, and then we have a third Gortak. We have another Razor Tusk. He's got his Centaur Chieftain. He's a Totem Bearer. He's got the Impaler, which is like the mobile bolt thrower. And he has the Lucky Shield. And then all the way over on the hill is a Jabberwocky. And he has 2 ambushing units of 20 Wild Horns with throwing weapons. This is the definition of a Monster Mash list. Alright, going on to my deployment, I have a unit of Dark Raiders with crossbows and shields, 2 bolt throwers, I have a unit of Dread Knights, just basic, no command, nothing special about them, another unit of Dark Raiders with crossbows and shields, and then in the middle here I have a horde of Executioners, 30 of them. I give them a Musician Standard and the Stalker Standard. Behind them is a Raptor Chariot, which is just kind of watching my ass from those ambushers a little bit. I have a unit of 30 Dread Legionnaires. They have spears, full command. They have the War Standard. And in that unit is my Battle Standard Bearer, a Cult Priest mounted on a Divine Altar, and she's got the Executioner's Blade and the Divine Icon. And then I have a unit of 10 Repeater Auxiliaries acting as a bunker for my General. Mage with 4 spells out of Cosmology, Wizard Master, Dispel Scroll, and then I have a Hydra, and then my monstrous exception was a Gargantua Spider, all the way on the left. So this is after Vanguards. At this point, I just move them up here. I'm trying to Frenzy Bait. He's Leadership 9 with reroll, so I'm not expecting it, but you never know. Might fail. And let's see. So this is his Vanguard. He moves his Chieftain behind his lines. He wants to get him away from my bolt throwers. Okay, so he set up everything first, so he definitely got first turn. He did charge my Dark Raiders. I chose to flee. And he moves up like so. So towards my bolt thrower side, he moves up with the Jabberwocky and one of the Razor Tusks pretty aggressively. Everything else in the middle he's a little tentative with. He's giving that Executioner unit a lot of respect. They do have hatred, and because of the altar, they're going to have re-rolling to wound most of the time, so he knows that he can't just run his stuff up. That's the definition of a wood chipper unit. So he's kind of just setting himself to give good angles here. And this is a good move by him because he has ambushers coming in, so he can put the squeeze on me a little bit to make a move. He doesn't necessarily have to run up. Because my shooting is not as effective as I would like it to be, and I don't have a ton of it, so he's pretty safe from my range stuff. Alright, so then this is my turn. Nothing really happens in Magic. I shut it down. I actually shut it down for most of the game because I have a +3 to Dispel. And his Centaur Chieftain was too far to shoot. On my turn, I move the Spider over onto that flank, give himself options. If he wants to come down the middle, I'll flank whatever's there. The Dark Raiders rally and go back up to continue Frenzy Baiting. Otherwise, I don't move too much. I am desperately going to try and clear out his chaff, which is easier said than done. In the Magic phase, I actually didn't roll that well for spells this game, but Truth of Time is a fantastic spell. It boosts my movement, or it can hex an opponent's movement, but basically I get an extra d6 rolled to my charge, pursue, overrun distances, and then I discard the lowest. So with Executioners, when they already have Swift Stride, now that gives me 46 rolling, taking away the lowest, and then with the Altar I can always give them reroll charge distances. So it basically just gives them a huge threat range, and that's going to keep a lot of his center back. A little bit of shooting, I do 1 wound onto his Giant Pig. Alright, turn 2 Beast Herds. One spin charges his Jabberwocky into the Bolt Thrower as expected. I shot both of my shots at it, I only did 1 wound. That's not going to do it. He charges the Pig into the Dark Raiders. I stand and shoot, they don't do anything. They're going to hold. He'll probably win that combat, and then the Knight should clean him up. He does get one of the Wildhorn units in, and he puts them 10 wide. He's just going to throw stuff at my Executioners before my Chariot charges them. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. As if he didn't have enough monsters, he had a Beast Giant that was also ambushing. So he comes in on the board this turn, and he comes on to threaten my Mage in her bunker. Otherwise, again, his movement, he's just kind of repositioning stuff in the middle. He moves his gargoyles over behind his lines to chaff if need be. He moves his chieftain with the impaler over here. He wants to try shooting at the spider. Spoiler alert, but he really doesn't do anything to the spider through shooting. He just was missing or failing to wound. Okay, that looks like that. He does get one totem off this turn. He gives this unit of wild horns +1 attack and armor piercing 2. It doesn't affect his shooting at all, but it could affect his combat with the chariot. Still, at full health, I've got to be able to charge that unit. He kills 3 executioners with his shooting. Looks like that. Jabberwocky kills the bolt thrower, no problem. Either that or I broke and overruns into the next one. And he kills the Dark Raiders and runs them down. So, looks like that. So my turn. I charged with my knights. He decided to flee with the pig, which is actually good for me because he didn't run too far, and I caught him. And now the knights are up there. If he wants to countercharge, I'll be able to countercharge him, and I don't care about losing those knights too much. My biggest game plan is I need to take his units out one-on-one. I cannot let him get multi-charges off. Chariot charges down there. He does a stand and shoot, actually manages to do a wound. Spider creeps over a little bit more. Just trying to get a good flank on anything. If he wants to chaff me up, he'll chaff me up. Dark Raiders maneuver around here. I want them into position to chaff up his stuff. And that's kind of how the board looks. I just shimmy a little bit. The Hydra goes over to chaff up the Giant. I'm confident if the Giant charges the Hydra, I'll win that combat. We might be stuck for a while, but in the long run I should be able to win that, and I don't want the Giant charging into the Spear Blocker, into the auxiliaries. The other thing too was the Hydra doesn't really have good matchups this game. Besides the Wild Horn units, it really can't go toe-to-toe with his monsters. The Gore-Tax will kill it pretty easily. Get Truth of Time on the Executioners again. Nothing really happens in shooting. In combat, the Chariot wins, kills almost half the unit. He's steadfast, but on Leadership 7, just happened to roll a 7 this time. He did 1 wound to me, and they're stuck like that. This combat went a lot differently than we expected. The Jabberwocky only does 1 wound to the Bolt Thrower. He just whiffed. And I actually did a wound in return. He still won by 1. I passed my break test.
Question. Is he not doing a stomp?
On the Bolt Thrower, you don't do stomps on artillery. No. No, you don't. Anyway, let's see. This is his turn now. He moves the Giant over, again, to keep threatening that auxiliary unit. He chaffs up the Spider there. Let's see. Okay, so he double charges the Knights. I can't do anything about it. They're immune to Psych. And he does it like that. He's hoping to kind of chaff up the Spears by having the Razor Tusk overrun farther, but the Gore-Tac, due to Frenzy, has to overrun as well. So we'll see how that goes. He charges his Gargoyles into the Dark Raiders, and he seemed pretty confident he would win that. I was banking on them getting 10 attacks before he gets to strike, and I should be able to kill 2 or 3 of them. And if not win that combat, at least keep them there. We'll see how that goes, though. He moves it up in the center a little bit. He gets this totem off again, unfortunately, on this unit. +1 attack and armor piercing 2. He throws more axes. He kills a couple more executioners. He's whittling them down a little bit. This turn, we do the Chariot combat first. I won. He didn't make his Leadership 7. He runs off the board. I restrain. And I'm facing the Chariot towards his Jabberwocky because the Jabberwocky will kill the Bolt Thrower on my turn. It only has 2 or 3 wounds left. With impact hits, the lances, I should be able to kill the Jabberwocky on the charge. And he has another unit of Wild Horns that just came onto the board right near it. And they might panic off the board, you know, in addition to that. Or I just turn him around and chaff him up. But I wanted to give myself options there. Unfortunately, he only does one more wound to the bolt thrower, and I think I did another wound to him. In any case, we just stay there. We were both absolutely flabbergasted that this happened, and this was actually really good for my opponent that he didn't kill the bolt thrower here. I really needed him to kill that thing because now my chariot can't make that charge. So yeah, he kills the knights. His Gortak overruns farther than his Razor Tusk, so that the Executioner unit will take care of him on my turn. Over here, I kill 3 of the Gargoyles. He manages to kill 1 Dark Raider. I win combat. He flees. I restrain. I'm going to try to use those guys to chaff up his stuff and see if I can't get into some more favorable combat situations. So on my turn, even though I only have 2 wounds left, I can't charge the Jabberwocky. I decide to charge the Wild Horns. I'm hoping that he can't roll 6s to wound me. In hindsight, maybe I just chaff him up. I don't know. But in any case, that's the choice I made. Executioners charge the Gortak. The Hydra goes over to chaff up the Giant again. Spider charges the chaff. And then in the center, you can see I conga lined with the Dark Raiders. So those Gortaks are now chaffed up. And if he charges them, he has to overrun. So he could open up some more charges for me one-on-one that might be more favorable. So that's what the board looks like. Magic, I put a 5-up ward save on this Executioner unit just in case. And nothing really happens in shooting. In combat, again, we are still stuck in this stupid combat. The Jabberwocky does another wound, and I'm rolling like 4s on my leadership. He just can't break it. And while last turn it was really beneficial for my opponent not to break it, this turn it was not. He really needed to get free of that thing. Executioners take care of the Gortak, no problem, with rerolling to hit and to wound. So that's like that. Let's see. Oh, and the Spider ate the chaff, and I don't know why I don't have a picture of it, but he actually kills my chariot. He managed to get 2 wounds through, and I couldn't make my armor save, so unfortunately he killed that. I only took a few guys out. So on his turn, he charges with the Rock into the Repeater Auxiliaries. The last turn I had moved my mage out of the unit into the spears. I just fled with them. I lost a couple guys to dangerous terrain. He moves the Giant around again. We're just dancing back here. And then he redirects into the Spider, and his Beast Chieftain charges the flank. And he was a little hesitant about sending him in there, but I didn't realize how good this guy was on the charge. He's strength 8 on the charge. And the Rock, I thought was strength 6. I forgot he's actually strength 7. And he's got impact hits. So the Spider's going to go down. I'm hoping I can drag the Beast Chieftain down with me, though, because that would be at least something. And the only other consolation is that the Rock's frenzied, so he has to overrun if he does kill Spider out into no man's land, and that's all he's going to be able to do for the game. He charges the fast Cav with at least one of the Gortaks. I don't know if he did it with both. The Wild Horns continue to move up and try to throw stuff. And he sends another pig in my way to speed bump me. He gets a totem that basically gives him an extra attack on his Beast Chieftain. He kills 4 guys with shooting, so he's really starting to whittle that unit down. He finally kills that bolt thrower. And over here, yeah, this does not go well. This really worked out for me. He killed the fast Cav, of course, and then he rolled a 12 on the overrun. So the Gortak just goes right into the slaughterhouse, and he's not going to be able to chaff me up just basically because of that huge overrun, and I'll get that on my turn. The Rock and the Chieftain absolutely pound my poor Spider's face in. There's nothing I could do. I put all my attacks on the Chieftain. Smartly, he uses the shield to deflect the hit that can do multiple wounds. with the other 7 attacks, I just kind of whiffed. I only did 1 wound to him, so poor spider. These guys, I don't think they were out. I think they fled off the board. That's what that's showing. Over here, we continue to dance. At this point, we were both laughing and just like, we're like, we'll just conserve those points. It's fine. Over here, I'm running a little low on the executioner numbers. I don't have a full 3rd rank, so I'm losing a couple of attacks against the Gortak. And just to be better be safe than sorry, I did the flank charge. In hindsight, I don't know if this was a good idea. It's hard because I need to kill the Gortak outright. If I don't, he's going to win that combat. I might be able to hold for a turn, but it won't be. A lot of the unit will be depleted. But at the same time, because I flank charged here, it put me out of position a little bit where I'm on top of myself. I didn't really have much for magic. I just tried to hinder his movement a little bit. It's not going to do much. I killed the Gortak, no problem. And then we were running low on time, so the executioners are faced where they are. I gave him my rear for the Wild Horn Herd. I'm not too worried about him charging the rear there. The Spearmen actually did reform. They're facing front. We just didn't bother to move the models because it'd be a pain in the ass and it would take too long. So they are facing forward. And this is what happens. So he charges the Jabberwocky into the flank, and he double charges his General and his Gortak into the spears. He does bring the Giant over again and his BSB over, but this is going to be the last turn. And basically what happens, this is his turn and then my turn, just fighting out these combats. There really wasn't much else to do. The Executioners fend off the Jabberwocky and kill that. I did 5 wounds to the Gortak with the spears and the BSB and company. He managed to do 1 lethal strike, which in the end saved him. Otherwise, I would have done 6 wounds total. So he lives. We do get in a challenge eventually between the BSB and the General. We don't kill each other. He beats up on me a little bit, and I'm steadfast. I just stick there. And that's the end of the game. So results, it was a 12-8 victory for Once Bitten, who played this very well. It was a really fun game, really close game. There are extra points you can get. None of us got the sort of Grail of Thrones scenario extra points for killing the General, being in the deployment zone and all that. But there are other things you can get for like table quarters and killing your opponent's General and that sort of thing, which he actually, I didn't mention it, he did kill my General with his Gortak at the end of the game. So, and with all the units he had left on the board, he was able to pick up those extra points. So I think he ended up getting 17 points out of this total. All in all, though, I was pretty happy. I walked away from the table with a decent amount of points. I didn't I didn't give up a massacre or anything like that. There was one point in the game, though, I told him, like, you have so much shit on this board right now. He just has so many drops. Even his chaff is toughness 5. It was just a tough army to play against, and he played it very well. So we'll go into the MVPs. For the Beast Herds, I mean, his army kind of works very well together, but if I had to pick somebody, it'd be the BSB on the Rock-a-Rock, only because it killed my Spider. That was the most amount of points, like in a single unit, he got. And also, he was the magic defense for the army. I was still able to get some magic through, but I wasn't running rampant with it. It was a nice kit out. And for me, the Executioners, I was able to bleed some points out of them. The Executioners killed 2 Gortaks, Jabberwocky, some chaff. So they're my MVP for this game. Once Bitten, if you have a chance to play him, definitely do it. He's very tactical, very good player, but he's also really fun to play against, and it's a very comfortable, easygoing style game. That's it for me. If you have any comments, questions, post them below, and until next time, thanks guys.